Hi Beasties, I'm Karin Whitnish, otherwise known as BATB Passion.
And I'm Janeen Hayes, known as J-Cole on Facebook and at Janeen on Twitter.
And we're here to talk about episode 20 of season 2 of Beauty and the Beast that we just watched twice, called Ever After.
Yes.
And, yeah.
Well, I can say that I've always said I wanted to see Vincent and Catherine having a normal life.
Yes.
And solving crimes. I'm over that.
Yeah, we're over that.
I need a little bit more.
Yeah, I need a little bit more too.
Yeah.
But see, they weren't solving anything for the FBI here. They stumbled onto this. So if they were actually working for the FBI and doing major league cases, it would be where they go into embassies and do, a la Alias. Then that would be a whole different ball game. That would be pretty cool. But stumbling on domestic murder, meh, okay.
Sorry, writers. It didn't really wash.
It didn't. It was.
Look, there was some awesome Vincent moments with Vincent talking to the fish. I hate it when she's right, and you know. But he's coming to save her again. I mean, seriously, Vincent. Couldn't have been. But I've come to save you. Could have been a little bit more.
Yeah, it just seems...
Same old rehashing of the lines, what's normal life again. And
yeah, I got a little bit annoyed at that at the beginning, this conversation about...
You muttered it in the background.
I couldn't help it. But I'm thinking he's talking about them wanting a normal life. And I'm thinking, didn't we have this conversation 10 times in season 1 and several times? We've just heard this so often that that shouldn't be discussed anymore.
Yeah, it's a little bit of a hashtag repeat episode,
Yeah, it was, wasn't it?
Yeah, it's really...
my favourite moments were JT and D. It's not that anything was terrible. It was just that
there was nothing terrible about the episode. It was just... I would have liked a little bit more, original dialogue.
Yeah.
It seemed like they got stuck for things to say, so they thought, let's repeat season 1's theme of... Let's have a normal life. This is what a normal life is. I'm here to save you, and I'm here to do this. And Katherine being her normal self. And I mean, the sweetest moment probably was when Vincent said, that's who I fell in love with, a girl who can kick ass, which is beautiful for him to acknowledge that.
Yeah, absolutely.
And that wasn't so much a repeat of last season, but nearly everything else just felt like I was watching an episode of last season again, where they were on the run and trying to find a bit of normality.
Yeah, I agree.
For me.
Yeah,
But no sex.
Yeah, no, look, we don't know what the reasons are. We can surmise until the cows come home. There could be 10 million reasons. But writers, Sherry, Jennifer, all of them very valid, I agree. But season 1, the whole hook of season 1 was leading up to Vincent and Catherine getting together. We got Vincent and Catherine together, and it was done, and this is a broken record from us as well, and from me. It was done so beautifully in episodes 15 and 16. We're desperate to see it again, and we're not getting it. It's not epic. It doesn't feel epic to me at the moment.
I get that there's different people writing the stories now. I'm all with that, and but what got BATB its audience last season was the epic love and romance of Vincent and Catherine, and that's what we're not getting now.
Yeah, I'm not feeling
at all.
There's some
chemistry's great.
Their chemistry's beautiful. We're getting light romantic moments, but we're not getting that deep, epic Beauty and the Beast. Love. What's the catch cry for Beauty and the Beast about?
Tale as old as time.
Tale as old as time. I'm not getting that out of them at the moment.
I'm not either.
I'm just not. When they went inside and it panned through to the next morning and he's in his robe and it was all domestic.
That would have made sense if it was a late night arrival,
Yeah.
That short. But there's so much, guys, that you could have written into what had happened there rather than have the murder next door. You could have not even had that there and had more of Katherine and Vincent talking to each other about the future, planning those little intimate moments. This is the first time they've had to be together where no one's chasing them, no one's on their tail, and they could have been in the bath. We didn't have to see sex per se, but we could have seen intimacy between them.
Yeah, we got
could have been in the bath with candles and then saying, okay, wow, is this what it's going to feel like to not have to worry about who's going to knock on the door, or a helicopter flying overhead, and here
or a telephone interrupting them again during a kiss, like happened at the beginning of the episode.
Or here, have some ice cream, have a strawberry, or what can we cook today? They could have been more about them.
Yes, I agree.
This episode.
I agree.
And mind you, all this is just coming to me now. Thinking about it.
Yeah, I agree with you.
They could have made this the one episode about their love.
Yes.
And to me, to have Ever After being about their love would have made more sense to me than having an inconsequential murder in the suburbs with a little bit about Vincent. A little bit about Gabe. No, I'm all good with what happened with Gabe today and then JT and that chasing them.
Yeah,
but they should have concentrated on the Ever After with Vincent and Catherine.
I agree.
And not even worried about the murder across the street.
Yeah, I agree. Completely 100%.
And they could have given the Beasties everything that they ever wanted, the nice romantic scenes of them talking about
everything they've gone through in their love, and have it culminating in a minute long, just a lovely love scene.
But have flashbacks to season 1 and say, oh, we've come so far from here because look, we were here, there, and now we can, have a night out, we can have dinner, let's be domestic, let's cook, let's show Jay Ryan's baking abilities, I don't know.
Yeah.
Just something about Vincent and Catherine rather than being Ever After, because you're going to take that away from them next episode and the episode after anyway.
Yeah, exactly. I guess I understand, obviously the normalcy and this whole suburban thing was meant to drive them back to New York. There could have been other ways to drive them back to New York.
Yeah, there could have been other ways to drive them back to New York, but it didn't. They could have had less time about it. They could have just had someone in the burbs recognise them, which would send them back. Hang on a minute, mate, I've seen you. I work in New York and I've seen your face.
Yeah.
That could have been enough to send them back. They didn't have to have this whole murder thing. I think I would have much more appreciated a whole episode being about them ever after.
Yeah.
That we're never actually going to get.
Yeah, that's my feeling. Or have some parallels. Have Vincent and Catherine's ever after, but then as a little sideline, have a little bit more of JT and T's ever after, because my favourite moments were JT and T. By a long shot. Yeah. We got that little bit of intimacy. We got that banter. We got that play. And I thoroughly enjoyed those. I like my girl here. Yeah. She carries a badge and a gun.
And I love the way Tess says, use that professor head of yours. Look at it the way you would do it.
Yeah.
And that made JT, brought out his ability to shine in these sort of situations. And he's not just
a science head.
A science head or, Vincent's sidekick. He is someone who's got abilities to do
everything that needs to be done.
You know what I mean?
Yeah, I know exactly what you mean. I loved it. I loved them on the couch near the end. The gummy bears. That they had more of what I wanted to see between Vincent and Catherine. Interestingly enough.
And there was a fault there too, because Tess says to JT, I don't like the white ones.
Yeah.
But he originally picks up an orange one.
Oh, was it?
Yeah, and then when he shows it, handing it to her, yes, it's a white-tailed one, but that's not what he picks up originally.
Ah, okay. I almost actually half expected, because I've seen it done with those gummy bears, that she would have one half in her mouth, and he would pull on the other half on his mouth.
And they'd chew together until they kissed,
Yeah, and they'd chew it together until they kissed. That would have been a cute little moment for that. But we read a lot of reviews quickly online today before we started. Yeah. The episode did fall a bit flat for quite a few Beasties. And again, it's not that we hate it or we dislike it. We just didn't like it as much as some of the other episodes. I think what I'm going to do, though, I think I'm going to love going back and doing catching those moments where Vincent's talking to the fish again. Or, yeah, I know. No, when he talked to the goldfish, that was cute. When he found out that the wife was lying, hate it when she's right. Yeah. There were a lot of Vincent lines that I really, really liked.
And he does do the serious to the comedic.
Yes, very well.
Very well. But then, so does JT.
Yeah, that he was priceless.
But I've really got nothing else to add. Sorry, it was a bit of a non-event for me. Mind you, I haven't had 3 or 4 watches of it. I've only had 2 straight watches or 2 and a bit straight watches of it. So,
But I don't know that we could feasibly fight. I mean, it was a bit of a procedural. You had that couple of minutes with Gabe acting like an ass.
Well, we knew that he was, losing it, and yes, you confirmed it. So what?
I'm trying to conceive of any universe where Catherine agrees to go on a date with him next week, and that he would actually ask her on a date, knowing what he knows about him. Yeah, I haven't yet to see that connection, but I'm sure there'll be one, and it'll be to do with saving Vincent.
I'm thinking it's somewhere along the lines of Catherine saying to Gabe, we know you know that we know
No, yep.
you killed
Jack Watson.
Yep.
You
know that Vincent can track you.
Yep.
You know that if we can get that we're going to get him exonerated, why don't you just back off?
Yeah, well, that's true. If you know, it's a case of I scratch my back, you scratch. You know, you leave us alone, we'll leave you alone. We do have the evidence to put you away.
Let's go out for dinner and have a talk about this. And so Gabe thinking that he and Katherine are back on a sort of like a talking, communicative field for them to then turn around and say, okay, this is where we're at, Gabe. We've got proof that you killed Theo. You've got proof that Vincent killed Kurt Windsor, so let's just call it quits. Let's just leave each other alone.
Well, let's leave each other alone, because if you keep doing what you're doing, I'm going to have to give Vincent my blessing to rip your heart out. Well, I'd like her to finish on that. Which we all want to see. But she does have that as a trump up her sleeve.
But that could be the only reason. The only reason I can see Katherine going out on the gate with Dave is to try and call a truce. For want of a better. Yeah,
I guess that would.
But I guess we'll know more from the believable sneak peek that they give us. Because, they give us a sneak peek of something's going to happen and that's not real. But you can sort of work around.
You can work around it just a little bit.
A little bit, maybe.
Yeah. I'm sort of thinking for a bloke who's meant to lie low and who's not meant to be seen. Hi, neighbours. Tip the hat at the neighbours. Broad daylight. Everywhere he walked was in broad daylight and all he had was his cap. I'm sort of thinking I'd put on the fake beard and the long hair. And
where does he get off looking good with that hair?
I know. That man looks good with any kind of hair. Short, long.
Blonde hair wrapped around him.
No, you can't wrap my red hair. You can't wrap my red hair around Vincent, unfortunately. No, I'm not going there. My brain is just on the fritz, and I have so got other things on the brain. But that's all right. But anyway. I don't know that I could score it out of 10 because I don't know that I would be really fair.
I'm not prepared to score it out of 10 because I don't really think, like the first time I watched it at work, or bits of it at work, I was being interrupted. The second time we watched it here, I was watching it. The second time I'm going to tell you, I told you, I get in the couch and so, I haven't really had the chance to really sit there and absorb it all yet, so I'm not prepared to rate it just yet.
Okay, I must admit that second time I was sitting there watching it, I did get a little bit bored. I've got to admit, it could be that I'm very tired
I think you're also very tired.
Which doesn't help, but I did get a little bit bored because I got a little bit annoyed at some of the, repeated themes and the fact that the door closes, the phone call is interrupted, the door closes, there's all these interruptions, and it's been one day. I mean, as you said, the two of them getting together finally behind closed. I would have drawn the curtains. I just would have been totally private in my own world, saying to each other, oh my God, thank Christ, especially after his comment last week when she said that she was sleeping with a fugitive and he said, well, not lately you haven't. Well, hey, I want to sleep with the fugitive tonight. You think there's any chance of that?
Because if you don't, Katherine, just, I'll take over from you. Well, maybe. I'm sure there's a lot of women out there that would more than happily take over you.
Yes, exactly.
But I was just thinking, you just said something and I went, oh yeah, and then I've just lost it again.
Oh no. About sleeping with a fugitive, about behind closed doors.
I think it was just about the repetitiveness of it. I just think, I really hope the season 3 is a lot different.
Yes.
To season 2, and not that I haven't enjoyed season 2. Not saying that at all, but if there's episodes like tonight where it's okay, I'm glad I saw it. I would miss it, but was struggling to talk about it for 15 minutes.
Well, that's exactly right. Usually we can go, we have to limit it to under an hour, otherwise I have hellish problems uploading it.
Yeah.
But I sat there at the end of the episode and I said to Janeen, in all honesty, Janeen, I don't know how I'm going to review this episode.
Katherine annoyed me, but then, I thought that she would. And I'm sort of, the way Kristen Crook is speaking some of Katherine's lines, I'd like to see her pause in different points of the conversation.
Okay.
And I can't really give an example now, but I think if I listen to her, it's not how you would talk. To me, she'd be saying a line and the camera's not on her, but she's still talking, and the camera's flicked to somebody else, and then she says, like we did with Gabe, and then it flicks to somebody else again.
Oh, okay. Yeah, I'm not.
It's going to be really hard to say that, but should it be more like, but we've been here before, rather than we're going to be doing this again. It's obvious that that's a written line to me.
Oh, okay.
Where she pauses and then says again.
Okay.
If I could point it out to you, I would. Let's just delete this bit.
No, it's okay. It's okay. It's just us rambling as usual.
There's some ways that she speaks sometimes. When she was talking to Vincent on the phone, and she said, who was the dude? God, I can't. How bad is this? I can't remember the dude's name whose son was with Muirfield.
Whose son was with Muirfield?
Yeah, Dana's husband. What's his name?
Oh, Sam.
Yeah, that's Sam. God, I just
Sam.
went so mentally blank then. But she's on the phone and she says, and Sam, he just escaped again. That's the sort of thing what I mean.
Okay.
Hey, Vincent, I can't talk. Sam's escaped from prison. I have to give you a call back.
Yeah.
Instead of...
Sam's escaped. I'll ring you back.
Yeah.
That
Or
would be
instead of it being, Vincent, blah, 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 and Sam, he's escaped again.
Yeah, they're the lines.
They're the sort of thing I'm talking about. It's very obvious where she's...
Okay. Yeah, I'm not quite seeing that at the moment, but then I wasn't paying attention to that.
Next time
I pay attention to other things that sometimes you don't see either. It's like that whole, when they were talking about normal at the beginning of the episode, and I'm thinking, again. Okay.
I didn't see that until you pointed it out.
until I pointed it out. So
what I'll do next time is I'll have a look at the scene, and then I'll say, okay, go and have a look at this scene. And you'll know what I mean.
And can please, Catherine Ashton, no offence, because 8 times out of 10 you dress Vincent really well. Don't like the black bubble jacket and the robes. Can we just get rid of the robes and have low slung
Why couldn't you just bottoms?
Just low slung PJ bottoms would have done.
Look, we get that it's supposed to be cold, but he's inside. There's a heater, man.
Yeah, there is a heater.
Take the robe off.
And maybe for me it was a little perfunctory. You know, when he comes over and he kisses her on the top of the head and he goes walking out of the room. It was all too light, too fluffy, too... I want more epic.
Yeah, I think that's
that's what our struggle is. We want more epic. And we're just not getting the epic. For people that have struggled to be together, especially lately, that have to be really together, that love each other this much, that are now talking about their love quite a bit, which I think is lovely.
Absolutely.
I'm really liking that aspect. She says she loves him and that she'd give up anything to be with him, and he says that that's what he fell in love with about her. I love all that sort of dialogue, but put the dialogue together with some more epic scenes between the two of them. Yeah, the intimacy, the love, the sex, it all goes together.
Yeah,
it really does go together.
They would have been better off calling this episode A Day in the Woods rather than, Ever After.
Yeah, I guess Ever After did conjure up an image of...
It implies longevity. It implies not just a glimpse of what Ever After, because Ever After isn't just a 24-hour period.
Yeah, exactly.
You know, what could be, or anything other than Ever After, because Ever After it implies that they're talking about their future. And about we're going to see their future after they've lived happily ever after. They're going to hear, this is how we can live happily ever after. Yeah. Show the intimate times, show them getting to know the neighbours, show them being the couple that they should be, and then you're going to have all of a sudden they're wrenched back to reality about Tess could have rung Vincent and said, Vincent, we need you to come back and track the body.
Yeah, whatever.
You know, I just don't think it was... Yeah, I think you hit it spot on. It's the epicness that
the epic is sorely missing just at this moment, and hopefully with the Rebecca thing being woven into it and a bit of background over this next couple of episodes, hopefully we start to get back to a little bit of that. Although I think Gabe may interfere a little bit too much in that, but
don't get me wrong. I've got this sense of anxiety about, or happy anxiousness about the next 2 episodes, and when I think, Monday's only 5 days away, 6 days away, I do look forward to Mondays.
Yeah, same.
I'm always going to be a BATB shipper fan. Love it to death, and I'm always going to be excited about it. But this one left me, like I think a lot of other people, and I'm only saying this having only watched it a couple of times, just a little bit flat.
Yeah. Unfortunately, yes. So.
But JT, Austin,
Oh.
my mate, my buddy, my pal.
Yes.
We love you as always.
Yeah, oh, absolutely. Best scenes in the show, on your own or with Tess. They were the ones.
Totally.
I loved it when JT stood up to Gabe.
Yeah.
Absolutely. Oh, so you think you're doing the right thing by Katherine.
Yeah, good on you, JT.
I loved it when he stood up to Gabe. I loved it when he questioned himself, but then picked himself up again fairly quickly, thanks to the support and the help of, guess who,
epic
Tess.
girlfriend, Tess.
Epic girlfriend, yeah. She's turning into that epic girlfriend for JT, which is really good. She's supporting him.
Yeah.
And I hope they do nothing to bugger up JT and Tess going into the finale.
I want JT and Tess to
Just to be like that.
The whole time.
Yeah.
They are the picture of what
Season
romance...
3.
This is what love is. Love is something where it's not always pretty and it's not always happy, but it's not always doom and gloom and third parties.
Yeah, exactly. It's just them working behind the scenes, in the background, helping out, having those lovely little moments. I really, really enjoyed them.
Me too.
There was some zing between those two in this episode. And yes, look, chemistry is never faltering between Vincent and Catherine.
No.
They play it too well, but, you know, they can only play the way they've been written.
And
they were written a little too light and fluffy this week.
They can only act what they've been given.
And they do that brilliantly.
Yeah.
As we all know.
Yeah.
So,
anyway.
We did enjoy it, and we will, of course, be back. We talked about Ever After. Next week is called Operation Fake Date.
Yeah.
So we have booked ourselves in for next Monday to do the same thing again, and we will see you then at the same time.
See
ya. So thanks for listening to us, Beasties.
Bye.
Bye. Ciao.
See ya.